Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Permex Petroleum's YouTube channel. We're once again here with Marin, who I have to say has been kind of put through the ringer in Texas. Can you go into a little more detail about what happened? Because you were at ground zero there.
Absolutely. It's good to be here. It's good to be warm for once. We just went through one of the worst winters, or freezes, I should say, that this state has ever seen. In fact, the last time something like this happened was in the 80s, 89, if I'm not mistaken, that the state had to do something called load shedding. So we did it in 89, we did it in 2003, we did it in 2011, but it never got this bad. Approximately 2 million Texans lost power, okay? And we see a lot of blame going around why infrastructure, wind power. Let's just review it from the basics. The ERCOT, which represents Electric Reliability Council of Texas, their grids was overloaded, so they couldn't handle it. In fact, they were 4.36 seconds away from shutting full blackout in Texas.
Wow.
What does that mean? They had 356 generators offline at the same time. If they had one or two more offline, it would be a complete statewide blackout, which could last for weeks. Thank God that didn't happen.
Okay.
Now, why does this even happen in a state like Texas? First of all, it's not federal. Our grid is not federal. And when Roosevelt in the 30s came and put the Federal Power Act in place, Texas stood aside and wanted to be separate. And to date, it is separate. That's why we have entities such as ERCOT controlling it. And there's going to be a lot of, I'm going to say, board resignations coming out of ERCOT soon. You'll see that in the news. But there's something needs to happen with our grids so that this never occurs again, because a state like Texas that produces so much power should not go into blackout, period.
Yeah.
Now, I'll mention one thing. Go ahead. I know you want to ask about the wind power and all that, but go ahead, ask your question and I'll try to answer.
All right. I was going to say, well, first off, let's be thankful then, because as you said, it was really close to being a lot worse. Yeah. And so let's be thankful that it wasn't. And yes, you're right. People have been trying to find, I guess you could almost say, a scapegoat. Like, what's the cause? Who can we put blame on? And they turned to wind and solar and said, this is the cause. Can you give us a more accurate representation then of what happened?
I think we can, and it's simple. It's statistics. What I'll do is I'll give Austin as an example. The reason people are blaming wind is because the number of turbines that came online and were offline during the period was high. So it is true. If you look at Austin pullout February 7th, they were producing approximately 42% or 400,000 megawatts per hour, versus natural gas was producing and supplying the grid around 19%, which was 178,000 megawatts per hour. Then comes the freeze. The wind turbines did freeze, and wind represents where Texas is number one when it comes to renewable in the state, in the United States, right? When it comes to wind, we're number one. So 42% of Austin's power essentially was coming from wind, which represented 400,000 megawatts per hour. Now, natural gas was around 19%. This is February 7th. Move forward into the cold, February 17th, wind turbines froze. So wind only produced enough electricity for 61,000 megawatts per hour. Natural gas had to step up, and it went all the way to 719,000 megawatts per hour, or representing 67%. That is why wind is being blamed. It is accurate because the turbines couldn't work.
Yeah.
Okay. If it wasn't for natural gas, guess what? More than 2 million people nationwide, statewide, would be without power. But natural gas is why it didn't happen. Natural gas is why it worked. But the problem still is our grids. Our grids need to be, I would say, on a federal level, investigated a bit more, and more regulation in place on ERCOT. That is what happened, and that's where we are. And hopefully, we won't see this in a long time.
Yeah, it's fair, and it's safe to say a lot of things, like hindsight is 2020. Like, this just wasn't expected. And there are wind turbines that can function in northern climates, and they do, but it just was not expected in Texas. It wasn't even worth planning for. They just didn't know this was going to happen. So unfortunately, yes, there's been a lot of collateral in the process, but looking forward, being positive, we can improve this and things will be better in the future.
I think that is true. And this is something the Texans learned from. This is something that, again, ERCOT being, it's going to get regulated one way or another. This council, again, Governor Abbott actually came out and started blaming ERCOT publicly. So we're going to see this change, and hopefully we will never go through this again. I'm going to segue into something now. How did this impact us and oil and gas companies? On average, it took production off of oil and gas operators 4 days. That's it.
That's not
Okay.
much.
So 4 days is not much. So if you pull up all oil and gas operators in Texas and see what this freeze did to them, 4 days production loss. That's not bad. Operational damage, minimal. If you had well bores that are, all your pipelines are above ground, if you had certain well bores that produce excessive water and this occurred, that's a different story. But the majority of good operators that have saltwater disposal facilities, commercial disposal facilities in play, nothing happened. As far as Permex is concerned, our fields are fine. We were just out on the fields as well, monitoring to see if there's any damages. There was no damages, thank God. In fact, all of our pumps are going, our horizontal separators are going, our injection wells are going, and the new purchases we've done this week again, they're fantastic. They're situated in a great location in Eagleford. We can discuss that shortly too.
Wonderful. Yeah, I was going to say that's a perfect segue. So first off, great that Permex is pretty much good to go. You guys were foresight thinking and you put your pipes underground. So good move. Congratulations on that. And yes, you guys just keep pumping out the news on these. You have 2 additional oil and natural gas property royalties that you acquired in Texas again. So let's dive into those a little bit.
Sure, let's do this. So these 2 are situated in the Eagle Ford. It's a different situation than the Permian Basin. Permian Basin is more west. Historically, all of our properties, even the properties we own 100% of, is in the Permian Basin. The reason we chose to buy into royalty interests in the Eagle Ford is one main concept. The decline curve associated with our wells in the Permian is high typically. So you produce a lot at first and it declines steep as well. Eagleford, we would diversify this way. So the production would not be as massive initially, but the decline curve wouldn't be either. It gets grandfathered in. So it's a nice balance and it would complement it. That's why we acquired it. This is 15 wells that we purchased working royalty interests in, and the operator is Chesapeake, a great company. Again, they had a lot of issues in the past, but as far as operating, they're an amazing operating company. I want to give one last example to our viewers so they understand. A royalty interest, as I explained to you, is like purchasing something that you benefit from the cash flow at status quo. Right now, whatever you're producing, you generate an income from it at today's X dollar amount oil prices. When did Permex acquire its first one? We acquired it when oil was $52. Oil is at 63 now. So we have appreciated value in cash flow by 17% on that acquisition alone. Wow. Where was the one when we just acquired? We acquired and closed at $60 oil. Today, as oil is $63. That's a 5%. The beauty of these royalty acquisitions is exactly that. It's a simple financial side. You buy them when oil prices are low. As oil prices go higher, your income goes up. There's no liability associated with it. There's nothing to worry as far as production. And that's what we're doing.
All right. Well, congratulations on acquiring 2 more. As we had saw people talking, this was something people were excited about. They liked these royalty acquisitions. So great job, Marin. And I hope we keep getting the good news pumping out. Is there anything else you want to say to people before we start?
No, there's much more to come. Much more to come.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you, everybody, for watching. God bless Texas. Stay safe, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.